Thanks very much. Yeah, Tim and I were briefed with just describing our experiences of going through the Deer Health Review workbook alongside Tim, and this has been produced by the Passion to Profit program, and I mean it's designed to capture overall health stewardship, ensure health spend is targeted for optimum profitability, and clearly details the on-farm health management. So I'll just start. Tim, like to just describe the farm briefly?
Right, well, I'm operations manager for the Cows Limited. We're a finishing farm with a little bit of breeding of our own. So we've got 850 hinds. We have 750 hinds that we will put on for a annual on-farm hind sale, and we aim to finish 2,000 weaners. The goals of the farm really is to focus on being economically and environmentally sustainable while producing or maximising the kgs of meat produced per hectare. Yeah, so that was sort of what this review was about, was just trying to nut out where we can push the boundaries to maximise the animal health to get what we need to gain, and to sort of back up where or what we're doing at the moment with some real data to make sure we are on track with where we want to be.
Yes. Yeah, so the aim of this work, Deer Health Review workbook, and I've got it in the paper form, but I mean it is it's in an electronic form too, which is very useful. It's basically 3 steps. Tim's already mentioned his goals, but obviously it's good to have some goals, to be aiming for something. But the first step is involving, we want to see what the performance of the farm is, and so we need some data, and utilise some tools to look at that data. So Tim and I sat down, and I mean it involved a little bit of preparation on Tim's side to have some information prepared, which he's very good at, and we obviously Tim decided had talked about some goals. To measure performance of the farm, like I say, you need a little bit of preparation. So, we're talking about things like, stock takes, stock tallies, weaning weights, scanning results, things like that. And I can obviously, as the vet, contribute some veterinary reports, some idea on spend, and things like that. So these slides, there's a lot of detail in these slides, and it's perhaps not so much the individual detail for this presentation, but to really illustrate the process. And I mean, Tim obviously had that information at hand, and we're looking at things like, mating efficiencies, weaning percentages, and growth rates, and information like that. And basically, it's looking at the actual farm performance, comparing that with targets, and also having where you would like to be with your farm targets. And I mean, obviously the red data, the red numbers stand out there, and obviously there's some area there with weaning percentages in the R2s that have been highlighted by putting these KPIs down as a starting point. So that's step one, is to really have some targets and some data, and know where you are and where you want to be and where you can be. So then we move on to the second step, which is risk assessment and disease management review table. And I mean, this is just going through the diseases or issues on your farm that might affect your deer farm performance. And I mean, basically it's ranked on a system of 1 to 10, where 1 is no risk and 10 is extreme risk. And I mean, we look at it's broken down into the natural risk if we're doing nothing, and comparing it with the current risk that's the management processes and things are influencing. And I mean, basically Tim has just come up with his opinion, or where he feels these risk levels are are at on their property and ranked it into priority. So, I mean, we just having a discussion while we're going through this. Certainly, you as the farmer determine where you feel that risk is in conjunction with any input we can make, and same with the current risk situation. So that's where, you know, through this starting point, I mean, Tim obviously, you know, has ranked internal parasites, Yersinia, and trace element issues as priority for management. So, like I say, there's a lot of detail in these slides, but it's not so much the detail as the process. So we've internal parasites, describe the current management, consider other management options, look at the cost benefit of what is currently being done and what could be done, and come up with an agreed management plan. Now, we're not going to solve everything necessarily in one visit, or this is the right answer today, so to speak. So, you know, things with further information needed down at the bottom for investigating and considering. And I mean, in this particular case, that's just a discussion over drench intervals in the spring. And I mean, just flicking through, we go from internal parasites through to Yonis, lepto, Yersiniosis, injury misadventure, fusobacteriosis, trace elements, copper primarily, selenium, clostridial disease, facial eczema, not so relevant to here, but it's there for people where that is an issue, and ticks. So by the end of the second section of the review, we've assessed the risks posed to the deer by each disease, prioritised it, reviewed the current management, and identified where more information is needed. So now we've done that, we moved on to the third step, where we basically have got to decide what are we going to do. So I've just skipped on one slide there, and there we go. We've got some clear objectives and some dates and some actions to be done by the relevant person. And I mean, in the case of the COFIs, for example, we're going to look at a weighing of the R2s at scanning in June, and investigating the weaning percentage issue. That's going to be followed up with a late scan in September, just to see if we determine what's going on there, whether we've got a fetal loss situation or whatever. So there's a clear list of actions based on things that we've identified in the review, and some dates for that to occur. So really, this is your bit. Come on, mate.
Well, yeah, for me, it was well worth the time invested into it. Like Hayden said, we had a lot of the relevant data there, but it was in a few folders at home that I had to just collect together. But it's a good process to go through, as it just allowed me to get everything down, and you would have seen one table, and it sort of shows how the farm's doing in a straightforward, simple manner. I mean, we all know as your own properties what you're doing, but quite often was the case with a few of those. I thought we were slightly better, but when you actually work through it, there's definitely room for improvement. The biggest thing about doing this is it just promotes further investigation through me and through Hayden. I know Hayden's been on the phone to quite a lot of deer vets and in conversations with other people, just about around different things like the copper and different drenches and drenching intervals and all of that. And for me, it's just about investigating those drench intervals and just having discussions on where we can go with the farm and its productivity, while still maintaining the economical side of things as well. And it really does highlight your opportunities quite quickly. So doing that KPI table, you soon get a very good understanding of where you have got some major opportunities to be made. And the transferable data and scenarios was sort of as an industry, if we all were involved, then quite often what we're doing on farm might be relevant to someone in the same district that's got a different issue, or got the same issue, or is asking about it. Well, if someone's doing the monitoring and the investigating, well, it does sort of speed the process up a bit. And I'll just add that a lot of it is the more information you put in is the more information you're going to get out. So we do a lot of monitoring and of recording of data. So the more we can do of that is the better results and the more accurate the results we're going to get.
Yeah, and I'd just like to finish off on my perceptions of it. I mean, this deer review, here I am holding it. It can be a physical paper document. I mean, if you're not into computers, it can be as simple as filling it in. But I would say that the electronic version of it is very good. It's linked to the Deer Hub, and it's got lots of quick links to the relevant section you're working on, and I think it's a great resource, that website. But as far as it goes overall, I mean, it's just a way of assessing your performance and health risks, and evaluating options and identifying some areas for appropriate action. It's a personalised documented plan that can be regularly referred to and updated. There was a fair bit of time involved in doing this the first time, but I see it as something that basically once you do it once, it's a document that you've basically got for your whole farming operation that you can keep referring to regularly and updating and changing as necessary. It forms the foundation for animal health plans, RVM consultations and reports. I see this working alongside an animal health plan, for example. And as I've mentioned previously, things like the Deer Facts, quick links, and connection with the Deer Hub on the DRNZ website are great. There's a massive amount of information there that's really relevant to the particular topic you're discussing at the time. And it focuses on the important issues of your farming operation to hopefully make some incremental gains. And I'll just finish off with, you only know what you measure, and data and equals information out. Thanks.
One right down the back.
Can you give some estimate of how many hours it took you to do the first round, and if you had to sit down and do it again, how many hours do you think it would take you now?
Yeah, well, I mean, we were there, it took us 2.5 hours basically, and I mean, we weren't mucking around. I mean, I suppose the sort of flowery bit at the start about goals, you're sort of mulling that over a bit, aren't you, Tim? But once we got into the guts of it, I mean, we were moving along, and it was quite a, it was a good 2.5 hours involved in it. But like I say, I think once you've done it, it's basically the base document for your farming operation. And I mean, I don't see it as something that you wouldn't be doing every year from scratch, but you'll be referring to it on a regular basis. And every time you're dealing with an issue like a trace element result or a particular animal health result, I can see this being sort of there as the sort of base document,
Well, for me, I think the timing of it is having that relevant data available before you go and see the vet about it. So it's like having that checklist there. So when we'll have our kill sheets and reports, and somewhere that'll be scribbled down, you've got your scanning results, or you know your scanning results. So a lot of that is sort of the main thing about it. And like Hayden said, from there onwards, it's a pretty streamlined process. It's just step by step, and it all involves about how in depth you want to go in discussion. Like Hayden and I had some quite in depth sidetrack discussions about trace elements and clostridial diseases and stuff like that. So yeah, it is relatively streamlined process.
I'd just add, I mean, Tim was well prepared. I mean, that's the key. I mean, Tim done measuring and monitoring and had all that information. So that is what I would say would be the key to make it worthwhile. If you turned up unprepared, it'd be hard work, basically.